showing out, making moves, no doubt. FFA pride, it's what we're all about. From classroom dreams to real world flair, we got the stories you won't find anywhere. Beyond the jacket where the stories unfold, voices of the future, fearless and bold. Tune in now, let the passion ignite. It's more than a jacket, it's a way of life. Beyond the jacket where passion meets purpose.
Welcome back to Beyond the Jacket, the podcast where we highlight stories of FFA members making an impact beyond their blue jackets. Today's guest comes from Iowa and has built his SAE that truly shows what hard work, dedication, and passion can accomplish. Through his poultry production project, he's turned hands-on learning into experience into a thriving operation that focuses on care, management, and efficiency. Welcome to the podcast. Why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners?
First of all, thank you for having me, Paige. My name is Cael Daufeldt. I'm from a small town in Iowa called West Liberty. And so far I've worked with my SAE poultry production, and I've been working under this SAE category for my family's farm called BKBE Farms. I've been working there for most of my life, helping around the farm and progressing all the way throughout high school.
I'm so excited to learn more about your project, Cael. It sounds super interesting, especially because I don't have a lot of experience with poultry production. How'd you first get started involved in the FFA, Cael?
So in FFA, I first got involved when my ag teacher reached out to me starting in 8th grade. However, before that, I knew I always wanted to be involved in FFA. Most of my family members were in FFA. I kind of knew what FFA was about, and it always sounded interesting to me, and I always wanted to learn more about it. And so then when my advisor reached out to me, I knew that I 100% wanted to do it, and I've been very involved ever since then.
I can kind of relate. I loved the FFA, and I had minor information about what it was prior, but definitely always wanted to do it. Growing up in agriculture, kind of similar to you, and it has kind of become my entire high school and even out of high school life. It's definitely a passion of mine. What led you to choosing your poultry production SAE? I know you said you worked on your family's operation. Can you talk a little bit more about that for our listeners?
Yeah, so I've always been working on my family's poultry operation ever since a young age, but I never really took a whole lot of consideration into it or took it serious until my FFA advisor actually wanted me to do a proficiency for it. And so he talked to me in 8th grade about doing a proficiency for it. And so starting in 8th grade, I started keeping records of my SAE, and I worked with my father and my advisor to sit down and make a plan of how I could progress throughout high school and record everything that I do. And that way I was able to make my proficiency about it my senior year.
That's super exciting that it started when you were a middle schooler and kind of worked with you all the way throughout your high school years. I started my SAE my sophomore year, so I didn't have a huge amount of time as far as you did, and that's super cool to show how you've progressed, and I'm sure you learned a whole bunch throughout your time working in that industry. What does the poultry operation look like? Birds, beds, how's it set up?
So my family's poultry operation, we raise around 62,500 turkeys annually. And we do this, yeah, it's quite a few. And we do this through grower contracts with the company is called West Liberty Foods. It's a meat processing company that's in West Liberty. They have a few other locations across the country, but one of their main ones is West Liberty. And so we do that through grower contracts with them. And all of our birds are Nicholas breed birds, and they're all male adult toms.
Wow. That's a lot of birds to manage. I'm sure the demand right now as far as the time of year goes up, I'm sure. Does it actually? Because of Thanksgiving? Does the demand for turkey?
I don't think it goes up quite as much as you think. And I think most of our birds are mainly go towards deli meat, whereas most Thanksgiving birds are female turkeys.
Huh. You're teaching me something.
Yeah, and actually, so my primary focus is with BKBE Farms, which is my father's farming operation and my uncle. And then my grandpa and my other uncle have an even bigger turkey operation. So
Wow.
all. So I also help them out too sometimes.
Well, that's exciting. You get to kind of go both directions.
Yeah.
I know you said your family obviously is super involved in this industry, but what initially inspired you to do this SAE?
I would say just going out with my dad almost every day when I was younger. I really enjoyed helping him, and I really enjoyed learning what he did every day for work, and I enjoyed working with him. And so that kind of just led to having a passion for going out to the farm and working out there. And it just kind of evolved into my SAE project and me helping out there.
That's super exciting. When I went to National Convention a few years ago, because like I said, I'm very removed from this industry. My family works with cattle and used to work with citrus, so definitely removed from the poultry industry. We toured like a poultry operation, and it went from like the babies all the way up until processing and the different barns and things of that nature. Can you talk a little bit about the housing of the poultry and different things for our listeners who also might be removed?
Yeah, so on our farm, we have three main barns. The one where the poults stay at is called the brooder barn, and that one is a little bit more enclosed and temperature controlled. Usually it's around 95 degrees. And that one takes a little bit more care and a little more attention to detail just because the birds are younger. You have to check them more throughout the day and just kind of put more focus towards them. And then we have two larger barns, and both of those are called our grow out barns. And we rotate flocks from barn to barn, taking time to clean and disinfect them in between each flock. And I believe that usually those birds are in, or the building itself is around 32,000 square feet. And those barns, they're quite a bit larger, quite a bit more maintenance, but don't require quite as much attention to detail just because the birds can sustain themselves a little bit more. Usually those barns are around 65 degrees.
Wow, it's crazy that you have to maintain temperature and different things of that nature. I'm sure in Iowa with how cold it is outside right now, it could be harder to manage in that aspect. What's your favorite part about working with your SAE? Is it managing the barns or animal health? How does that work?
My favorite part, I work with a couple cousins while I'm out there and my brother, so I really enjoy working with them all the time. One of the main things that I enjoy from working out there is the satisfaction of completing jobs. One of the main jobs that I have to help with is cleaning barns and disinfecting barns. And for me, it's super rewarding and satisfying being able to complete those jobs or get sections of the barn completed and finish a whole barn entirely too.
The instant gratification of something
Yeah.
going from dirty to clean, or I
Yep.
always said like if you're mowing your lawn, people think like in Florida that's a pain because it's hot and you get all sweaty and nasty, but it's the instant gratification of seeing the grass mowed or the barn clean or things of that nature. Who's been your biggest mentor throughout this entire process? You work with your cousins, your uncle, your dad. Who has been somebody that's invested in your time in your SAE and taught you things that'll allow you to go forward?
I'd say my biggest mentor has definitely been my father, just because he helped me kind of start my SAE, and he's taught me everything that I needed to know for my SAE. He's shown me lots of different things that he does, helped me gain all of my experience. And outside of farming, he's also gave me lots of great life experience and just kind of showed me his path throughout life and taught me different ways to be successful on the farm and off the farm. And so I've really gotten to get a good relationship with my father, and it was really good.
I can agree. My mom's actually the one that runs our cattle operation at home, and being able to learn from her and kind of walk beside her and learning the different aspects of the operation have been so inspiring. And then as well as like in everyday life, just the different little lessons you learn along the way, whether you're cleaning the barn or just driving down the road, it's the little moments that you spend
Yeah.
together that are so important. Walk us through a typical day in your SAE.
So typically, it kind of depends on whether I'm focusing with the brooder barn or the grow out barns. Most of my focus is in the brooder barn with the younger birds, just because that's where my father's focus is. And so I've been working with him closer. And so typically, you check the brooder barn 2 to 3 times per day, just kind of depending on what age range the birds are at. And you walk through the barn, get a mortality count, check the feed consumption, the water consumption, make sure that the temperature is right, any fans and all that need to be running are working properly. And then usually I talk with my father about any supplements that need to be mixed to help with the bird's health, or anything that we need to put into their diet to help them to get to their full potential, I guess. And then usually after that, so the birds are usually in the brooder barn for 6 weeks, I believe, and then they're in the grout barns for a total of 18 weeks. They come onto the farm to off the farm. And so then once they switch out of one barn, then our days will look a little bit different, because then we'll start the cleaning process of cleaning out the barns, which will usually take a couple days. And then we'll disinfect the barns, which will also take a couple days. So it just kind of depends on the day. Each day can be a little bit different for sure. Some days are busier, some days are not as busy.
Wow. That's a lot of things to keep track of and to manage animal health, nutrition, things of that nature. Um, as far as like rations for the turkeys in the poultry operation, do you get to play a role in that?
Generally, I don't play a huge role in it. I help sometimes. Most of the time, we have a nutritionist at our feed mill that comes up with the rations for us, and he provides the rations and he mixes the feed loads for us, and then we have them delivered to the farm. But I do help with checking feed levels on the bins and letting my father know when we need more feed loads and opening different hoppers for the birds.
Wow. The fans, the barns, the feed, the cleaning, that's a lot.
Yeah.
But it's super cool that you get to be a part of all of it. What breed do you guys raise?
All of our birds are Nicholas birds, and they're all adult toms for the most part.
Well, there you go. What does that breed like? I know certain breeds are meant for certain things. Obviously, I'm assuming this is definitely like a more meat breed, to say the least. But what qualities does that breed have? Sorry, my phone just fell off the table. Oops. What qualities does that breed have that make it so unique that you only raise that breed?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. I'm assuming that they're one of the better birds for meat processing. And I know that most commercial turkey farmers use this breed for their farms as well. So,
You're teaching me a lot. I don't know anything
but
about a
yeah,
turkey.
I'm not entirely sure why.
What is like your main goal with your SAE? Do you want to carry that into a career or just something simple on the operation that you hope to better through your own impact and insights about what you've learned?
I'd say my main goal with the SAE was gain more experience working on the farm and working with turkeys. It's kind of a unique animal. Not many people get to learn about turkeys and even realize that turkeys are raised like this. And so, my main goal is to get more experience with them, learn more about them, and kind of help me decide if I wanted to pursue livestock in the future, if I wanted to go a different direction, maybe more towards a business side of things rather than a hands-on farming side of things.
I understand that. What do you want to major in? I know, like, when I talked to your brother recently, he's doing ag business. Are you on the same track? Do you want to stick with poultry production? What's your major?
Yeah, I'm on the same track as well, studying agricultural business at Iowa State, and I plan on staying for all 4 years of that as of now. So we'll see how hard it gets, but so far it's going well, I think.
I understand. I'm also a freshman, not at Iowa State, the University of Florida. I understand that moving forward, it can be hard. It's definitely a
Yeah.
humbling experience, to say the
Yeah.
least. What kind of management practices do you guys use to keep your flock healthy and productive? I know with birds, they're kind of susceptible to diseases and animal health of that nature. What's your role in that?
So with birds specifically, they're actually very acceptable to diseases just because they're all in a confined building where disease spreads very rapidly. And so recently, in the last few years of my SAE, we helped and we invested lots of money into different biosecurity practices, We invested lots into upgrading our sanitation devices with our pressurizers and water tanks and whatnot. And I helped make a plan with my father, and we planned that we needed to have some sort of disease area where we could switch over from traffic coming from off the farm to on the farm. And that way we helped with any cross contamination between farms and between outside sources. And so I helped plan with him a building, just a small shed where we could switch over our boots, switch over into a different vehicle on the farm, and disinfect in that building to help eliminate any diseases coming onto the farm.
So do you have to dress in and out of the barns? Is that something you guys implement on your operation, or just kind of the vehicle and the boot transfer?
Yeah, so we always switch over boots and we always disinfect our hands, and then we take a side by side out from the start of the farm out to the barns that we need to get to. But we don't change any clothes. We just switch over boots, put on boot protectors, and disinfect hands. And then we also step into disinfectant pans before entering each barn.
Wow, that's a lot of different things that I don't think consumers have to think about or even know about as far as the producer and the things they're doing to make sure, like biosecurity and making sure your animals are healthy and that kind of nature. What challenges have you ran into with your SAE, whether it's on the farm or just tracking your SAE in general?
One of the main challenges, and I'm sure this comes with lots of livestock, is just diseases that can spread. So we had a disease that spread through before, and really with turkeys, there's not a whole lot you can do aside from kind of a waiting game. You can give them different supplements and different medicine to try and help, but you kind of have to wait it out and hope for the best sometimes. And so this kind of affects me because it affects what I have to do every day with my different responsibilities. And yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I could see where it's a challenge as far as keeping things healthy and then also having to
Mhm.
like quarantine and things of that nature. What's a big lesson you've learned? I know I've learned numerous with my SAE, and I'm sure there's some that stick out to you, Cael.
Yeah, some of the lessons that I've learned for sure is work hard and kind of take pride in what you do. Have lots of responsibility. I've learned a lot by working out there by myself lots of times, or get different orders from my father on what he wants me to do. And working with live animals is a lot of responsibility, and um, I've put in a lot of hard work overall at the farm, and I've learned that what you put in is also what you get out from things.
I think that's a smart lesson, especially for our listeners. What you put in is what you get out. It's something they need to take to heart, you know? How do
Hmm.
you, I know with the SAE it's very hands-on and different things of that nature, but how are you tracking your progress? I know you made a plan with your advisor and your dad, but how are you tracking that progress moving forward? Did you use the AET? Did you use another form of tracking? Was it placement? Was it entrepreneurship? That kind of thing.
So at the start in my eighth grade, I believe it was my eighth grade spring actually, my advisor told me start keeping track of all your checks, all of your money transactions that you get from working out at the farm, and everything of that nature. So that way, senior year, it'll be a lot easier to keep track of things. And so then throughout high school, I would enter all my checks into AET, as you said, and I would record all my checks to our high school, and I would also record community service and lots of all my FFA experiences, all my competitions, community service, my checks, and everything of that nature. And that was all in the AET, like you talked about.
Yeah. So you said it and your brother said it too. Did you track everything and then apply for your proficiency your senior year, or did you apply every year through that process?
Just senior year, we applied.
Interesting. My advisor always had me apply every year. Whether you made it or not, the feedback back on that application like allowed you to kind of tailor your SAE forward, and I think that's interesting. I think I might have gone insane if I had to wait till my senior year because I always wanted to know where I was at, how I was doing.
Yeah, that's smart on your advisor's part, though.
Yeah, well, obviously you did very, very well with your SAE. You've been so humble. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about your accomplishments with it?
So with my SAE specifically, I got first in the state for the state of Iowa, and then I was a national finalist, and then I also got first place nationally in poultry production placement SAE. And then kind of building off of that, I also had a second SAE with turf management, kind of like my brother. And so I would work at a golf course in West Liberty as well as BKBE farms. And I got first in the state for Iowa for my STAR application placement, which is SAE as a whole.
That's super exciting. I also was a star finalist for the state of Florida, so that's super inspiring that you kind of got to do both SAEs, which are so polarized and different,
Mhm. Yeah.
and kind of dabble into different careers. With that being said, you're majoring in ag business, you have experience in turf management and in poultry production. Is your future gonna is your future career going to embody both of those, or are you gonna take a totally different route?
I'd say that both of those definitely aren't out of the question yet. However, I think I would rather lean more towards the business side of things, working with more numbers and more of the economic side. I enjoy doing that a little bit more than kind of the hands-on work.
I'm glad you do. I am not mathematically inclined at all. I addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. That's pretty much where you have me. If not, I can't do much more.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, off topic, But what have you learned about running a business? You say you like the financial side of things. What have you learned as far as that goes?
I've learned lots of different stuff. Usually, after almost every flock, I would sit down with my father and we would kind of go through the numbers of the flock and we would enter it into a different app that we use. We use Excel most of the time, and so we would enter it into that. And then we would kind of track from flock to flock different profits, different losses. We would record all of our expenses and all of our inputs. And so I learned lots doing that on the business side, and I realized that I enjoy doing those things. And so that's kind of led me to choose ag business at Iowa State. I like agriculture, and I kind of wanted to see what the business side was like. And so I knew that going with this career or this major, it was kind of broad enough for me where I could kind of go in different directions and kind of decide from there.
Wow, that's exciting that both of those go hand in hand and that you're open to trying different routes as far as that goes and to be able to, who knows, maybe you can do the financial side of your family's
Yeah.
business and continue to keep that legacy going. That's to be
Hmm.
exciting to follow along on your journey of where you're heading to next, after college and things of that nature. What other CDEs or LDEs did you participate in?
I participated in quite a few actually. I did one, sometimes two every year of high school. In eighth grade, I participated in Ag Impact. And then freshman year, I did conduct of meetings and nursery landscaping. And then junior year or sophomore year, I did parliamentary procedure. Junior year, I did agricultural issues. And then senior year, I did program of activities in my poultry proficiency and then my STAR application.
Wow, you were busy the whole
Yeah.
time. I loved LDEs. That was something I always really enjoyed as far as prepared public speaking or extemporaneous public speaking. I didn't get to compete for parliamentary procedure, but I practiced with the girls and things of that nature, and all those skills you learn from those different CDEs and LDEs that kind of go forward. Was there a specific CDE or LDE that you liked the most and why?
My favorite LDE was definitely agricultural issues. I like this one because our topic was actually dealing with the H-2A worker visa program. And so I learned lots of information from that. We talked with lots of different individuals around West Liberty who dealt with the H-2A visa program, who have hired different workers and used this system. And so I learned lots. I didn't even know that this program existed. And so I'd say that was definitely my favorite one because I enjoyed working with my teammates and learning lots about that process.
Yeah, I always wanted to do ag issues. It wasn't something we ever ended up doing, but seeing the students who participated in it and the projects and the different things you get to learn throughout your time researching that particular issue in our industry is so important, and then it makes you better equipped for the future in your industry or at home with your SAE and different things. When you're working in the barns and things like that nature, and you have to clean and you have to report back, how do you balance those jobs with school? I know, like, while being in high school, like, if you played sports or homework or different things, how did you balance everything while making sure that your SAE was taken care of as well as time dedicated to your studies?
So throughout high school, I would do a work study where I would go to school throughout the day, and then two of my periods I would go out to the farm and I would work on the farm. And so that was kind of how I was able to still help at the turkey farm and the turkey operation while school was going on. And then as the summer months picked up and I would work at the golf course for my second SAE, I would mainly work at the golf course in the morning until about 1 o'clock. And then after that, I would go out to the farm and help with whatever my father would need.
Wow, that's cool. I wish we would have had a work study in Florida. That would have been nice to be able to
Yeah,
get out of
I
school
wonder if
early.
that's more like Midwest schools, or I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either, but I wish we would have had one of those. That'd have made life so much easier.
Yeah.
What's one piece of equipment when working with the turkey operation or even on the golf course with your turf management SAE as well that you can't live without?
You mean like the business can't live without, or one that I enjoy? That
You enjoy.
um, I'd say one that I always enjoy is driving any tractor while working with the birds. Tractors are always fun to drive, whether they're big or small ones, and kind of however old you are, it's always enjoyable to drive one around.
Absolutely. You said that your SAE had different stages of barns and different ages of birds over a certain week process. What is your favorite stage? That I don't remember the name. The babies or the brooders,
The
right?
brooder barn is where, yeah, the young ones, the poults are in. And I'd say that that's definitely my favorite stage. My main focus is with the poults. I also work with the larger birds too. But I'd say that the poults are definitely my favorite stage just because they're a lot smaller, a lot easier to take care of. And they're definitely way less dirty and messy than the large birds. The large birds are quite a bit more messy and quite a bit more dirty. They kick up a lot more dust and require a lot more cleaning afterward. Whereas the poults, it's a lot cleaner barn, a lot easier to keep clean, and just a little bit smaller area.
It's interesting. And the fans, are the fans like to keep the dust down or to like control the temperature in the barns?
They're to control the temperature, especially when it starts getting hot outside. On the brooder barn, we have three big fans that can come on and blow nice cold air into the barn. But then with the two larger grow out barns, they have curtains running along the whole side of the barns. And so when it gets really hot outside, we'll put those curtains down and turn all the fans on, or vice versa. If it's really cold outside, we'll put the curtains all the way up and turn heaters on for them.
Wow, they're spoiled.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely spoiled. Because here, like, it's always sunny. It's always warm. I think the coldest it's gotten so far is like 53 degrees, and I wore like 3 jackets. I'm a true Floridian.
It
But a
snowed here
heater,
last weekend.
I
So
know, you're so lucky. I've seen snow before, but I'm so jealous. Well, I'm so excited that you were on the podcast today. What an amazing story. It is so inspiring to hear how your dedication and attention to detail with your true passion has made so many opportunities for you, Cael. This project is an example of how your SAE can start small and grow into something so amazing that you even get national winning for it. So I was so excited to learn about your project today. I've learned so much. Thank you for coming on. And for our listeners, remember to continue to go with us beyond the jacket every Friday.